HIF students, this is Mr. Sue here, and thank you for being such wonderful students. I promise you guys will do something fun for the last class, so we're going to do some hand sewing. What we're going to make are these one-button pouches. Materials, you need your fabric, you need your needles, you need buttons, elastic string, and thread. So if you look here, don't worry, Mr. Sue already packaged your individual squares and you won't have to cut them out, but I want you guys to make sure that you work hard, you persevere. It's going to take a little bit of patience, but I'll facilitate and I'll walk around and I'll make sure that if you have any questions, if you have any problems, then we'll work through it together. And at the end, we're going to take home some one-button pouches. Okay, to begin, we're going to thread the needle. So what you need is the needle and the thread. To thread the needle, we want to make sure that we're not holding it too far away because you don't have control. You want to make sure you're nice and close to the edge. Good. With your dominant hand, you want to hold the thread, and your non-dominant hand, the needle. Holding the eye to the thread, you want to wiggle the needle through the eye and pull your string right through. With the end of your thread, you want to make sure that both ends are matching, putting the thread over your index finger. Okay, so we're going to wrap it over once at the tip of the index finger, making an X. Put your thumb down. We're going to roll it down. Roll it all the way down. Now hold on to the thread. Push your middle finger down, and we're going to pull it straight back to create a knot. There you go. We're going to do the back stitch. Taking the needle, making sure it goes from behind the fabric so it catches the knot. You're going to go one stitch length away, so that varies between how wide you want your width of your stitch length to be, pulling it all the way through. Now from behind, you're going to go one stitch length away again. So from here, coming all the way through, pulling your needle. Now this is the back stitching part. So you want to make sure that you connect with the second stitch that you did, poking it through, pull, and then coming from behind again, so approximately there, coming through, and then you repeat. And there's your back stitch. When we're done stitching and we want to tie off the knot, we want to go on the back side. We're going to pinch, make sure we catch a bit of the fabric and the end of the string. So, right there. Now, we're going to pinch down the needle and we're going to wrap the thread 1, 2, one more time for good luck, 3. And then now you're going to roll, pulling thread down, and all you do is pull the thread through while holding down, creating the knot. Now when you're done, nice and secure knot, you want to just snip and cut, and there you go. To sew on the button, we take our needle coming from behind, and it can go through any hole, but making sure that the next part you do, you make sure you thread it through the diagonal hole, like so. And you're going to pull the needle through. Now we're going to go through this the second time, just to tighten it up. Back through the same hole, and try and aim for the same spot again, pulling through, and then securing these two. Now after you've threaded it 3 or 4 times, now you've secured the diagonal knot, we're going to go through the other 2 holes that we haven't threaded through yet. So going through one and the other, making sure you're going through the diagonal holes. So from this one to this one. First thing we're going to do is make the flap. So we're going to take 2 square pieces, making sure both are the front facing, align them together. And what we're going to do, very simple, we're just going to fold it in half. Now press down, secure it, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to sew our back stitch along here and along here with the 1/2 inch seam allowance, so 1/2 inch away from the edge. We're going to sew down here and here. Once you hand stitch both sides, now we want to trim the edges, not too close to the thread, but enough so that the excess isn't in the way when we flip it over. Okay, so now what we do is we find the middle part where two fronts are facing here, and all you do, flip it around, push through the edges so they come out. It looks like so. And then here is another sample. Okay, now that we have our flap, we're gonna make the back side of our pouch. So first you want to make the front square with the front facing. The flap in the middle, we're going to make a little sandwich. Make sure the edges are even. And then now we're going to finish a sandwich with the last piece and the back part of the fabric facing us. There you go. Now that we have our sandwich, make sure everything is aligned. We're going to sew all the way around from here all the way across the edges. Make sure you catch all three pieces of fabric around and leaving just a small pocket right here so you can flip everything through. I'll show you later. After you've sewn all the way around and left a little hole, we can flip it inside out. So little by little, we're going to go in, and then we're going to slowly pull the fabric through one corner. So here's your flap. Now you fix the bottom. So get the corners back. So here's one corner, tucking it back in. So don't worry about this hole for now because this is going to get sewn together with the front piece. And then there's your flap. There's your back piece, and now we're going to do the exact same thing with the front, but just without the flap, and it's going to look like this. After you flip both pieces inside out, it's going to look like this. This will be your front, and this will be your back with the flap. So our next step is to sew on the button on the front. So make sure you sew it on right in the middle of the front. Okay, now that we've sewn the button on, we're going to flip it on the back, and then we are going to sew it down to the back piece, making sure you only sew towards the edge, very close to the edge on the three sides here, leaving the top part open because we're going to flip it through, and then afterwards you're going to have your pocket square with the button on the outside, and it's going to look a little like this. Okay, after you've sewn all three sides, now you have the opening, and we're going to flip it through. So pulling the edges out. And then sorting it through. So make sure you poke the edge right out. I'm going to flatten it this side. Push the edge right out to the end, flatten it out. And then the last part, all we have to do is we're going to attach the string, the elastic cord right here, and then after we sew it on, it's going to come down onto the button. Okay, now we sewed on the elastic string to our top flap. One quick tip is actually not to sew all the way through so it doesn't show up on the top. Now you take the elastic strap, go around your button, and then fix it a little bit, and there you go. There is your little button pocket.